banana meatball. Yeah. Turn it up. Nerdy by nature. Turn it up. Patterns in the air.
Hello, 4th grade. Thank you for joining me and my friend on our journey to Egypt as we discover about mummies and pyramids. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Ancient Egypt. For thousands of years, mummies and pyramids were a great mystery. How were the pyramids built? Why did people make mummies? What was the strange writing on the mummy's case? In the last 200 years, scientists have learned a great deal about the people who built the pyramids and made mummies. They were a hard-working people who enjoyed life. They loved science and music. They believed in a sun god and a cat goddess. They thought they could live forever. They were the people of ancient Egypt. Egypt is where one of the oldest civilizations in the world began. 5,000 years ago, Egyptians invented one of the first forms of writing. They made a kind of paper from reed plants. They invented a calendar much like the ones we use today. The ancient Egyptians built some of the most amazing buildings the world has ever known. Their painters and sculptors created beautiful works of art. Their doctors went to school to study how the body works. Why did such a great civilization begin in Egypt so long ago? Most historians think the answer is simple. The Nile River. The Nile River is the longest river in the world. It flows through the middle of Egypt. Whoa. Egypt is located in northeast Africa. The Nile River flows into the Mediterranean Sea. The Nile gave the ancient Egyptians water for drinking and bathing. Egyptian fishermen caught many kinds of fish in the Nile. Hunters hunted the wild birds along its bank. Boats sailed up and down the Nile, carrying people and goods. But the Nile's greatest gift to the Egyptians wasn't fish or birds or drinking water or travel. It was, dun dun dun, mud. Floods and farming. Most of the land in Egypt is part of the Sahara Desert. Desert soil is sandy and rocky. It is not good for farming. The ancient Egyptians called the desert the Red Land. No one lived in the Red Land. Hardly anything could grow there. The land along the banks of the Nile was very different from the Red Land. The soil there was dark and soft. The Egyptians called this land the Black Land. The Black Land was some of the best farmland in the world. Why was the Black Land so good for farming? Every July, the Nile flooded its banks. The floodwater dumped a layer of black mud along each side of the river. The black mud was very fertile. That means it was full of things that plants need to grow. In November, the floodwaters went down. Farmers plowed the black land. They planted seeds in the rich, fertile soil. In March, they harvested their crops. The harvest was almost always very plentiful. That means there was more than enough food for everyone. Farm year. July was the flooding, November was the planting, March was the harvesting. Check it out. Whoa. 2 kingdoms. Villages formed near the good farmland along the Nile. Some of the villages became cities. Over time, the villages and cities became a part of two separate kingdoms. For many years, each kingdom had a different king. One king ruled over the land in the north, where the Nile flows into the sea. The other king ruled over the land in the south, along the Nile Valley. About 5,000 years ago, a king named Menes united the two kingdoms. To unite is to join together. King Menes built a capital city close to where the separate kingdoms had met. He wore a special crown. It was made from the crowns of both kingdoms. Most historians say that joining of the two kingdoms was the beginning of the great Egyptian nation. When King Menes put on his double crown, he started a civilization that lasted 3,000 years. Turn the page to learn about ancient Egyptian alphabet. We'll have to wait and see.